All right, we're going to talk about, we're going to start Unit 3. And we're going to learn about conditional statements, if statements, which you may have learned in other programming languages. But if not, we'll deal with them right here. But first, we're going to talk about Boolean expressions. We compare values to primitive values using the double equal sign. And also we could compare two values with a not equal sign, which is exclamation point equals. And then we've also got greater than or equal to, less than, and less than or equal to. They look like these up here. And the result of a comparison of two values is a Boolean value, which is either true or false. So Boolean just means true or false, or on, off, or a two, either one thing or the other thing. So we just started. So you want to be careful not to use just one equal sign when you're comparing two values, because that tries to assign the right-hand side thing to the left-hand side thing, and that often doesn't make sense, like in an if statement. So I'll show you what we'll learn about that in a minute. So here's some examples of Boolean expressions. So I have, they're all being printed. So 5 greater than 2, that's true. 5 greater than or equal to 2, that's true. 5 equal true, that's going to print false because that's not a true statement. 5 less than 2 prints false. 5 false. 5 less than or equal to, also false. And 5 not equal to true also prints false. So these are Boolean expressions. Any questions? That's why we're doing 2 sections today. All right, so Java code normally goes in order, line by line, from top to bottom. But sometimes in programming, you want to do things conditionally, like only if something's true. You may want to change the flow of the program. And we're going to do that with conditional statements. And they are called if statements, IF. And if statements are a form of flow control. They can control where the program is going. So an if statement consists of the word if followed by a Boolean expression, followed then by a block of code that will run if that statement is true. So assuming I had a variable called temperature, if temperature was greater than 80, it would print it's hot. Now, if temperature was equal to 80 or less than 80, it simply won't run that block of code. Questions? Seems pretty easy. If there's only one line you want to have in the if statement, then you don't have to use the braces, the curly braces. So for example, both of these are fine. You can say if temperature greater than 80, and on the next line, you can just write the print it's hot without the curly braces. And in fact, you can also say if temperature greater than 80, space, and then put the print right there. It's all good. If you have more than one line of code in your if block, though, you have to use the braces. So see this top example? This is different. Well, no, these are both the same, but I'll show you one that's different in a sec. So if temperature greater than 80, and then we have open brace and close brace, and inside we have it's hot, let's buy some ice. Same down here. This one works because the open brace is here and the closed brace is there. These are both fine. And in fact, you could bring this print up to be right after the brace. You know, it's nice to make your code readable by humans. So I like both of these are pretty good. I say be careful though. This looks the same, but it's not. This would always tell us to buy ice, even if temperature was 50, because the if statement only controls the following line or the following block surrounded by braces. So in other words, this would say, hey, yeah, if temperature is greater than 80, it'd say it's hot, but it's always going to run, let's buy some ice. The indentation doesn't have any control over it. It's just indented because it looks nice. But if you're not using braces, the only thing triggered by the if line is the line right after the if. we have to use double equals if you're checking if primitives are equal to each other. So, and you use a single equal sign when you're assigning a value to something. So look at this right here. Int b equals scan.nextInt. That's saying, hey, we're going to take scan.nextInt and put it into b. But the next line, if b equals 7, that's checking if they're the same. So if you put a single equal sign there, the code's not going to work right. I can't remember if it compiles and just doesn't work right, or if it won't even compile, but it's not right. So down below, there's two things that won't work. You can't use two equal signs here when you're trying to assign a value, and you can't use one equal sign when you're trying to check a value. So two more things at least. We're almost done. But if you want to check if two strings are equal, you have to use the dot equals method. I know it's really easy to type string 1 equal string 2, but it won't work. It doesn't work. I wish it would just stop you from doing that. What that ends up checking is, are these two things exactly the same variable in memory? So sometimes it will return true, but usually it wouldn't, because you'd have one string called password and one called key, and you'd be checking if they're the same. So you have to use dot equals, not equal with strings. So like this, one variable dot equals and then the other thing. And just using equal will not work. Yeah, good. So we had two more things to cover. This one is one of my favorite. If you have a variable that's a Boolean variable, then you don't have to say if that variable equal true. You can just do what I did up here. Here I have a Boolean variable is hot, and I set it to true. And so my if statement can just be if is hot. Because remember, what goes in there is just a Boolean value or a Boolean statement. So we have a variable that's a Boolean. It's going to either be true or false. So you don't have to say if is hot equal true. And in fact, it's better code to just say if is hot, because it shows that you know that it's a Boolean and you don't have to say equal true. I mean, I'm not going to judge you, but why write more stuff if you don't have to? It's the same as saying if is hot equals true, but it's simpler because you know it's a Boolean variable. You don't have to say it like that. You can also, by the way, use a not symbol in front of a Boolean variable. So this is if it's not hot. That's what exclamation point is hot stands for. That just reverses it. If it was true, it's false. If it's false, it's true. Okay, and then the last thing, never ever put a semicolon on the if condition. So right here, people like to do this if today dot equals Monday, and they put a semicolon there. And what that does is it removes that line from the program. I don't really know. I wish it would just not compile, but it compiles, and it will always print ouch, no matter what is in the variable today. And so often you will come to me and go, my code's not running. It's just always doing this one thing. And then we'll look and we'll find a semicolon on your if statement like that. So you notice none of these examples had a semicolon on the Boolean condition. Let's go back and look. So if temperature, see, there's no semicolon here. No semicolon, no semicolon, no semicolon. You get the point. Don't put one there. It just breaks everything. Okay. So we've got a Google form, which asks you to evaluate some Boolean expressions. And then we've got a REPL that's pretty simple, asks you to do some things. So you should be able to finish that easily during the period. I hope you do. I'll post them right now.